What would you do if it rained for 7 days straight? You'd stay indoors, order food, charge your phone, and wait for the weather to change. But imagine ancient humans facing the same storm with no electricity, no waterproof jacket, no supermarket, and no easy way to know when the rain would end. So, what happened when the sky just wouldn't stop? The first problem wasn't boredom, it was food. If hunters couldn't travel easily, their next meal wasn't guaranteed. And this is where ancient humans had to get clever. A successful hunt could provide a huge amount of meat, but they couldn't always eat everything immediately. Depending on the time and place, meat could be cooked, dried, or exposed to smoke to slow spoilage. Animal fat and bone marrow were especially valuable because they packed enormous amounts of energy into a small amount of food. But meat wasn't their only option. People gathered nuts, seeds, roots, fruits, and other plant foods, some of which could be kept for later. Groups living near rivers, lakes, or coasts could also rely on fish and shellfish. So when hunters couldn't move, the group didn't necessarily starve. They used whatever their environment could provide. But then, the rain created another problem. Firewood gets wet. And without fire, cooked food, warmth, light, and a dry shelter become much harder to maintain. Keeping a fire alive could become a survival task of its own. Inside shelters, people could dry materials, prepare food, repair tools, work animal hides, and make new equipment. And this is where the story gets surprisingly familiar. When you're trapped somewhere for hours or days, you need something to do. Archaeological sites show evidence of tool making, food preparation, ornament making, and other activities taking place in sheltered spaces. A rainy day could become a workday, but being stuck together also meant everyone depended on everyone else. One person could maintain the fire, another could prepare food. Someone else could repair clothing or tools. Adults could care for children while others worked. Food could be shared across the group, making survival less dependent on one person's hunting success. And that cooperation may have been one of humanity's greatest survival advantages. But the rain didn't only affect humans. It changed the entire landscape. Rivers could rise. Paths could disappear. Mud could hide tracks. Animals could change their movements. Suddenly, hunters had to understand the weather around them. They watched water levels, animal behavior, tracks, and the condition of the ground. Because weather wasn't just something falling from the sky, it changed where food could be found. And if the rain lasted long enough, stored food became incredibly important. A group that had prepared beforehand had a huge advantage over one that hadn't. This is why survival wasn't simply about being strong or hunting well. It was about planning for the days when hunting failed. And there was a hidden danger in all that water. Heavy rain could contaminate streams, wash away useful plants, and make familiar paths suddenly dangerous. A shelter near a river might feel safe one day and become threatened by rising water the next. Ancient people had to notice these changes quickly. They weren't predicting storms with weather apps. They were learning the landscape by watching it. Over generations, that knowledge could become survival knowledge passed from adults to children. But there was another problem nobody talks about. What happens when the rain keeps people inside for days? Social tension. A small group sharing one shelter has nowhere to escape. Everyone is tired, hungry, wet, and frustrated. Yet the same shelter that could create conflict also protected them from the storm. They had to cooperate anyway. And when there was finally nothing urgent left to do, humans didn't simply sit in silence. They created. They carved objects, made ornaments, painted walls, told stories, and probably played. We can't know exactly how prehistoric people spent every rainy evening, but their remains show that human life wasn't only about finding food. Even when nature forced them to stop moving, they found ways to work, communicate, learn, and imagine. So the next time rain ruins your plans, remember how different the problem once was. For us, a week of rain might mean canceled plans. For ancient humans, it could mean wet firewood, harder hunting, rising rivers, spoiled food, and one terrifying question. Do we have enough to wait it out? Their answer wasn't one invention. It was preparation, cooperation, adaptability, and knowing how to use almost everything their environment gave them. In a world they couldn't control, survival belonged to the people who could adapt fastest. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to 5 Minutes Explained for more videos like this.